Hello, and welcome to our English podcast for beginners. We are very happy to be here with you today.
Yes, welcome. Today we are going to talk about a very important question. What is the biggest difficulty when learning English?
This is a great question because many learners feel frustrated, tired, or even nervous when they study English for a long time and still feel slow.
That is true. And the interesting thing is this. Many people think the biggest problem is grammar or vocabulary or pronunciation.
But in many cases, the biggest difficulty is not the language itself. It is fear. Fear of making mistakes, fear of speaking, fear of sounding wrong.
Yes, and this fear can stop progress. A learner may know many words, may understand simple sentences, and may even study every week, but still feel afraid to speak.
So today we want to talk about that fear and also about other common problems like forgetting words, not understanding native speakers, and not knowing how to practice every day.
And do not worry, we will use easy English, clear examples, and simple ideas, so you can listen, learn, and feel more confident.
Let us start with the first big difficulty, fear of making mistakes. Why is this so common?
I think it is common because people want to speak perfectly. They want the right words, the right grammar, and the right pronunciation every time.
Yes, and that creates pressure. When there is too much pressure, speaking becomes stressful, and when speaking feels stressful, the learner becomes quiet.
Exactly. Many learners think if I make a mistake, people will judge me. But the truth is, mistakes are a normal part of learning.
They really are. Think about children. Children make mistakes all the time when they learn a language, but they keep going. They repeat, listen, try again, and improve.
Adults often forget this. Adults want fast results. They want to speak well immediately. But language learning is a process. It takes time.
So, if fear is a big difficulty, what can learners do?
First, they can change the goal. Instead of saying, I want to speak perfectly, they can say, I want to communicate clearly.
That is a powerful change. Clear communication is more important than perfect grammar. If people understand you, that is already a success.
Yes, for example, if you say, yesterday I go to the store, the grammar is not perfect, but the meaning is clear. People understand you.
And that gives you something very important, confidence. Confidence grows when you see that communication is possible, even with small mistakes.
Let's move to the second big difficulty, forgetting vocabulary. This happens to almost everyone.
Yes, a learner studies 10 new words today, feels happy, and then 2 days later only remembers 3 words.
That can feel disappointing, but it does not mean the learner is bad at English. It usually means the words were not used enough.
Words need repetition, words need context, and words need real use. If you only read a list one time, your brain may not keep that information.
That is why simple daily practice works so well. If you learn the word appointment, try to use it in a sentence. For example, I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow.
Then say it again later. Write it, read it, hear it in a podcast, use it in another sentence. Little by little, the word becomes familiar.
I like to tell learners this. Do not try to learn 100 words in one day. Learn 5 useful words and use them many times.
That is a much better strategy, especially for beginners. Small, steady progress is stronger than fast, stressful study.
Now let's talk about listening. This is another major difficulty. Many learners say, I can read English better than I can understand spoken English.
Yes, because spoken English can feel very fast. Words connect, sounds change, and sometimes native speakers use expressions that learners do not know.
This can make listening feel impossible, but it is not impossible. It just needs training, patience, and the right material.
For beginners, it's important to listen to clear English first. Slow podcasts, simple conversations, and short dialogues are very helpful.
Yes, if the material is too difficult, the learner may feel lost. But if the material is simple and clear, the learner can build confidence step by step.
Repetition also helps a lot with listening. Listen to the same short audio more than one time.
The first time, just try to understand the general idea. The second time, notice key words. The third time, pay attention to pronunciation and sentence patterns.
That is a smart method. You don't need new content every day. Sometimes the same content gives better results because your brain has time to notice more.
Let's talk about another difficulty, not knowing how to study. Many learners want to improve, but they don't have a simple plan.
That is so true. They watch random videos, save mini posts, read different tips, and jump from one method to another.
And then they feel busy but not effective. So here's a simple plan for beginners.
First, listen to English every day for 10 or 15 minutes. Choose something clear and not too hard.
Second, learn a few useful words or phrases from that material.
Third, say those words or phrases out loud. Repeat them with your voice.
Fourth, make your own simple sentences. Personal sentences are easier to remember.
And fifth, don't wait for the perfect moment. Practice with what you know now.
That simple routine can create real progress over time.
I also think many learners struggle because they compare themselves to others.
Yes, comparison can be very harmful. One learner sees another person speaking fluently and thinks, I will never get there.
But every learner has a different story. Some people have more time, some started earlier, some use English at work every day.
So comparison is not fair. A better question is this: am I improving little by little?
That is the right question. If today you understand more than last month, that is progress. If today you are less afraid to speak, that is progress too.
Progress is not always loud. Sometimes progress is quiet. Sometimes it is simply feeling calmer when you hear English.
I love that. Progress can be quiet. It can be small, but still very real.
Let's imagine a beginner named Emma. Emma studies English 3 times a week, but she feels stuck.
She knows basic grammar, she knows common words, but when someone asks her a simple question in English, she feels nervous and forgets everything.
What is happening here? Is Emma lazy? No. Is she bad at languages? No.
Emma probably needs more active practice. She needs to speak, even in short sentences. She needs to hear English often, and she needs to stop demanding perfection from herself.
Exactly. Emma can start with small answers like, I work in an office. I like coffee. I usually wake up at 7. These are simple sentences, but they build fluency.
Fluency does not begin with long, difficult ideas. It begins with simple ideas said clearly and often.
That is such an important point for beginners. Do not wait until you know everything. Use what you know now.
Let us also talk about pronunciation. Many learners worry about accent.
Yes, they think my accent is not good enough, but having an accent is normal. The goal is not to sound like someone else. The goal is to be understood.
Clear pronunciation is more useful than a perfect accent. Focus on key sounds, word stress, and speaking slowly enough to be clear.
Reading out loud can help. Shadowing can help too. Shadowing means listening to a short sentence and repeating it right after the speaker.
That is a very practical exercise. It helps with rhythm, pronunciation, and confidence.
Now I want to ask you something. If fear is the biggest difficulty, what is the solution?
I would say the solution is gentle action, not pressure, not shame, not waiting. Gentle action every day.
I like that. Gentle action means small practice repeated often.
Yes, listen a little, speak a little, read a little, learn a few words, repeat. Keep going.
And most important, be kind to yourself. Learning English is not a test of your value. It is a skill, and skills grow with practice.
Some days will feel easy, some days will feel hard. That's normal. The key is consistency, not perfection.
Before we finish, let's give our listeners a simple message to remember.
Here it is. The biggest difficulty in learning English is often not grammar or vocabulary, it is fear and lack of confidence.
And the best way to fight that fear is to practice in a simple, regular, and realistic way.
Use easy materials, repeat often, speak in short sentences, accept mistakes, and notice your progress.
You do not need to be perfect to speak English. You only need to begin.
And if you begin again and again, one day you will look back and realize that English is no longer something distant.
Hello again, and welcome back to part 2 of our English podcast for beginners.
We are so happy you're here with us again. In part 1, we talked about the biggest difficulties in learning English, like fear, lack of confidence, and forgetting words.
And today, we want to continue that conversation, but now we will focus on something very important. How can learners stay motivated and keep improving, even when progress feels slow?
That is a wonderful question because many learners do not stop because they are not intelligent. They stop because they feel tired, discouraged, or lost.
Yes, sometimes a learner starts with a lot of energy. They feel excited. They buy a notebook, save videos, download apps, and make big plans.
But after some time, reality comes. Life gets busy, study feels difficult, results feel slow, and little by little, motivation becomes weaker.
So let us begin with this question. Why do so many people lose motivation when learning English?
I think one reason is expectation. Many people expect fast progress. They think if I study for 1 month, I should already speak very well.
Yes, and when that does not happen, they feel disappointed. They think something is wrong with them.
But usually, nothing is wrong. The problem is not the learner. The problem is the expectation.
Language learning is not magic. It is not instant. It grows slowly, like many good things in life.
And slow progress is still progress. That is something learners need to remember.
Let us imagine a learner named David. He studies English every week. He listens to podcasts, learns vocabulary, and tries to speak a little.
But after 2 months, David says, I still cannot speak fluently. Maybe I'm not good at this.
This is very common, but David is looking only at what he cannot do yet. He is not looking at what has already improved.
Maybe before he understood almost nothing. Now he understands simple podcasts. Before he knew only a few words. Now he can build short sentences.
That matters. Small progress matters, but many learners ignore it because they are too focused on the final goal.
So one way to stay motivated is this. Notice small wins.
Yes, very small wins. For example, maybe today you understood one new phrase. Maybe today you answered one question in English without translating every word.
Maybe you listened to a short audio and understood the main idea. That is also a win.
These moments may seem small, but they are signs of growth.
Another problem is that many learners make study too heavy. They create a routine that is too difficult to follow.
That is such an important point. A person may say, every day I will study for 2 hours, learn 20 new words, watch a full lesson, and practice grammar.
And maybe they do that for 3 days, but after that, they feel exhausted.
Exactly. So the routine looks strong, but it is not realistic.
A better plan is simple and sustainable. Maybe 15 minutes a day, maybe 20 minutes, but something you can really continue.
Yes, a small routine that lasts is much stronger than a big routine that ends quickly.
Let us talk about consistency. Why is consistency so powerful?
Because English is not only information, it is also habit. Your brain learns better when it meets the language again and again.
That is true. If you study a lot one day and then stop for 2 weeks, it's much harder to remember and improve.
But if you practice a little every day, English starts to feel more natural.
It becomes familiar, and familiarity reduces fear.
I love that idea. Familiarity reduces fear. The more you hear English, the less strange it feels.
The more you speak, the less scary it becomes.
So if a learner says, I do not feel motivated, maybe the answer is not study harder. Maybe the answer is make study lighter and more regular.
Yes, motivation often grows after action, not before action.
That is a very important idea. Many people wait to feel motivated first, but often motivation comes after you begin.
For example, maybe today you do not feel excited to study, but you still listen to a short podcast for 10 minutes.
Then you understand more than expected, you feel good, and now motivation appears.
So sometimes the first step is the hardest step.
Let us also talk about comparison again, because it affects motivation too.
Yes, absolutely. A learner goes online and sees someone speaking English very well. Then they think, I am so behind.
But social media usually shows results, not the full process.
Exactly. It doesn't show the mistakes, the bad days, the confusion, or the years of practice.
So when you compare your beginning to someone else's middle or advanced level, you create unnecessary sadness.
A healthier way is to compare yourself to your past self.
Ask questions like, am I more comfortable now than before? Do I understand more than last month? Can I say more than I could before?
Those questions are honest and useful. Another thing that helps motivation is studying with meaning.
What do you mean by that?
I mean learning English through topics that feel interesting and real to you.
Ah, yes, that makes a big difference. If you only study random sentences, you may feel bored.
But if you listen to conversations about daily life, work, habits, travel, feelings, or goals, the language feels more alive.
And when the content feels meaningful, it's easier to stay engaged.
For example, if you enjoy cooking, learn English through cooking videos. If you like business, listen to simple business conversations. If you enjoy stories, listen to easy story podcasts.
This is a smart way to connect learning with your real interests.
Let us imagine another learner. Her name is Sarah. She studies with textbooks only, and she feels bored.
She thinks English is important, but every study session feels dry and mechanical.
Then one day, Sarah starts listening to easy podcasts about everyday conversations, personal growth, and simple real-life topics.
And suddenly, English feels different. It feels human. It feels useful. It feels connected to life.
That emotional connection can help motivation so much.
I agree. People learn better when they care about what they are hearing.
Let us now talk about another challenge, feeling embarrassed when speaking.
Yes, many learners feel shy, especially when other people are listening.
They worry about grammar, they worry about pronunciation, they worry about speaking too slowly.
And because of that, they avoid speaking practice. But avoiding speaking creates a bigger problem. The less you speak, the more unnatural it feels.
So what can learners do if they are too shy to speak with others?
They can begin alone.
That is a great idea. Speaking alone may sound strange at first, but it's actually very useful.
For example, you can describe your day. You can say, today I woke up at 7. I made breakfast, I answered emails, now I'm studying English.
Or you can look around your room and describe what you see. There's a chair near the window, my bag is on the table, the room is quiet.
These simple exercises help your brain connect ideas with spoken English.
And because you're alone, there's less pressure.
Another helpful method is reading out loud.
Yes, when you read out loud, you practice pronunciation, rhythm, and confidence at the same time.
It also helps you become more comfortable hearing your own voice in English.
That's important because for many learners, hearing themselves speak English feels unusual in the beginning.
But with repetition, it starts to feel more normal.
Let us talk about goals now. Do goals help motivation?
Yes, but only if the goals are clear and realistic.
Can you give an example?
Of course, A goal like, I want to be fluent soon, is too vague. It sounds nice, but it doesn't tell you what to do today.
Right, but a goal like this week I will learn 10 useful phrases and practice them every day is much more practical.
Exactly. Practical goals create direction, and direction helps motivation.
Another good goal could be I will listen to one short English podcast every morning.
Or, I will speak in English for 5 minutes every evening.
These goals are simple, measurable, and possible.
And when goals are possible, learners feel more encouraged.
I think it's also important to celebrate effort, not only results.
Yes, that's such a healthy mindset. If you studied today, that matters. If you showed up and practiced, that matters too.
Because effort builds the bridge to future results.
Let's say a learner studies for 2 weeks and still feels slow. What should that learner remember?
They should remember that learning is not always visible right away.
Like building strength in the body, you may not see big changes after a few days, but something is happening.
Exactly. Your brain is adapting. Your listening is changing. Your memory is organizing information. Your confidence is slowly growing.
So even when progress feels invisible, learning may still be happening.
That's why patience is so important.
Patience and trust.
Yes, trust in the process.
Before we finish, let's give our listeners some simple advice for staying motivated.
Good idea. First, keep your routine small and realistic.
Second, notice small wins and give them value.
Third, stop comparing your journey to other people's journeys.
Fourth, use English with topics that feel interesting and meaningful to you.
Fifth, practice regularly, even on